Hello folks, this is Fat Guy Flies RC, and yes, this is the FMS Ranger 1220 V2. This is the green one. FMS reached out to me and we talked about they want us to do they want me to do a complete unbox build, all the way from unboxing the plane all the way to maidening the plane and everything in between. And so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do it with the Green Ranger this time. And I'm going to go a little more of a detailed on every single part with little micro videos like I've done with some of my builds of each section, what it would look like, how I'm setting up, and then how it will look once you're done. Little micro video chapters basically as we go through step by step on everything from you, the beginner pilot, would want to do with putting one of these kind of planes together. And we're going to start that, and we're doing it kind of from a new person's type, new pilot's type standpoint. Alrighty. Now, they didn't send me the ready to fly. This is the plug and play, so I'll be putting it on my Spectrum, but I'll show you how I set that up in a radio. And the principles that I'll be teaching are transferable to almost any type of radio system that you're going to be using. If you've purchased this plane or any RC plane, and if it's plug and play, which means you have to install your own electronics as far as radio electronics, you'll be needing a receiver and you'll be needing a battery. The motors, the servos, the plane itself, everything is there. You just need to put a battery and a radio in it, radio system in it. Now I'll be installing an AR620 antenna Spectrum protocol receiver, and I'm going to be using an 1800 milliamp 3S, which means 3 cells in it, 3-cell LiPo battery. This happens to be an SMC 1800 HCl pack. This is a 3S battery. Typically, you can use anywhere from a 1300 up to maybe even a 2200 sized battery, and that refers to how much the battery holds. That 1800, 2200, how many milliamps of wattage it holds, and that's what I'll be using. All right. We'll be gathering common tools. First tool you're going to need is a good knife. Once you've got it out of the box, okay, you're going to want to unbox it. Okay. So let's go ahead and get it out of the box, and we'll go over the parts. Okay. Alrighty. When you see the term, or see that term, Ranger 2200, that 2200 refers to how many millimeters in length the wingspan is. Okay. You see everything is packed nice and tight, where you can, it's not going to come loose. Take a good razor blade. Be careful how you open, but pay good attention to how everything is laid out. Because in case you had to return it, sometimes putting these planes back into their boxes can be a bit of a chore. It's like a Tetris game. You have to excuse that. I got another battery charge, and that's what that beeping sound is. Okay. Just be careful how you unbox these things. All right. Keep up with your debris. Okay, because you're going to want to put it all back in the styrofoam. First out of the gate is your wing, one of your wings. Okay, this is your right wing. And just so you know, just to give you a little tip, everything in the RC plane world is from the pilot's perspective, not the RC pilot's perspective, but from if you had a real pilot inside this little airplane, the pilot's perspective. So this way I know this is my right wing. Okay. When you're ordering parts, buying anything, looking at for RC planes, from the pilot's perspective, from the actual pilot's perspective. All right. Now, on this plane or any plane that has struts, go ahead and take any protection that like they had on this. Take it out. Pull your little servo. This is This is the wire that moves this servo, that provides power and signal and tells the servo what to do to move this aileron, this control surface. Go ahead and unfurl it. Might be kind of tied up for you. Okay, get that out and set that aside. Okay, take your manual, put it somewhere handy because you'll be referring to that. Like I said, keep up with all your debris. This is your wing spar. This is what provides some structural stability and stiffness to the wing. Another wing. The left wing. If I was the pilot, this would be my left wing. Got this protective tape holding everything secure. This is an FMS model, so you can expect quality and you can expect it to go together very well. So this is if you're flying off of rough, if you're flying off of a smooth surface or a very well-maintained runway, this is a perfect trainer. Okay. 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 Careful with your strut. Make sure everything works. Pull your wire out. Set your wing to the side. Okay. This right here is a programming cable for the gyro that's included if you choose to use a program to program your gyro. You won't really need to. This already comes pre-programmed just for this plane. This is all your bits and bobs and your screws. Keep up with this. Don't lose that. Now, FMS is usually really, really good about giving you a few extra screws, but not too many extras, so don't lose anything. Take all your pieces out. Keep up your debris. Here's your landing gear. Okay. Your main fuselage. We'll get to that in just a moment. And your back half of your fuselage. Okay. Also, your elevator or horizontal stabilizer. The whole thing's a horizontal stabilizer. This moving part is the elevator part. Okay. Just like this is your vertical stabilizer, the moving part is your rudder. All right, always look, make sure there's nothing left in there. Then all that styrofoam that you pulled out, okay, need to keep up with it in case you have to repack this plane up again. Okay, that's why I say you keep up with your debris. Okay. All right, now, if you don't have a plane stand, I suggest putting a pillow down or a blanket because you'll be putting a small amount of pressure on these parts as you put screws in and as you assemble it. So the protective covering or a plane stand will help protect the surface of your model, help keep up with the integrity of the surface of your model. Now, I've got a plane stand. This is an Ernst plane stand. Okay, and we're going to be assembling it on this plane stand. But let's go over the parts of our plane first. Okay, this is the first half of the fuselage. If you look inside, you're going to see that Reflex version 3, which is the gyro system. And then you've got all these wires with labels. Okay, and they're going to tell you where you plug. I'm going to show you, but this will indicate to you where you're going to plug each of these wires into the receiver that you're going to be using. In my case, I'll be using an AR620 antenna spectrum protocol receiver. This is your battery lead where you plug your battery in. This has what you call an XT60 here. That's this type of battery lead. And then in here, front half is take off your battery hatch. This is where you load your battery at. Okay. this XT60, this battery lead, I want to fish it forwards into the front here. And that way, because I'll be putting my battery in and out through here, and I'm going to have to get to that. All right. Now, let's go ahead, change our position for our camera, and we're going to start assembling this model. You got your first half of fuselage, we got the second half of the fuselage, our horizontal stabilizer, both wings, landing gear. All right, change our position. All righty, we're back. Now, according to the instructions, it shows that we're going to be adding both half of the fuselage back together. We're going to put them together. So I'll put that right in there. All right, if you look, what do you got down in there? See that big bottom black hole there? See that black rod there? That's your fuselage spar. And you've also got this right here. This is what's going to control. This is a push rod that's going to be controlling this surface here on the rudder. But don't be tempted to hook that up yet. Wait just a minute. All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to slide this black wing spar, black fuse spar, into that black hole there. Okay. Right there. Okay. And then I'm going to take 2 screws. It is 2mm screws. This is your little screw bag here. Okay. Have yourself a nice magnetic tray. It just saves a lot of problems for you. Okay. You're going to take 2 these longer magnetic screws. I think it's going to be these. Nope, sorry. It's going to be the shorter ones. They look like that. And I'm going to go from the top, from the bottom, and I'm going to be securing this in. Okay? As I bring this through, as I bring this in here, this rod here, if you look, you're going to see this where my finger's right there pointed? That's a set screw in there. That black center section, that's just a screw that goes inside of a shaft. Okay, it goes up and down. There's holes on either side. Okay, I'm going to take a 1.5mm hex drive, which is a tool, a hex drive, looks like this. Okay, and I'm going to loosen that little screw up a little. That's inside that brass, that black screw. I'm going to loosen that up a little bit, so that this rod here can freely slide within it. Okay? Going to do that real quick, and we'll be right back, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alrighty. I have slid this tail, back half of the fuse, took my 2mm hex drive and the smaller screws, and I put one in here, and I put one in here to join both halves of these both halves of these fuselage. And if you look, I told you how I loosened up that 1.5mm. I'll loosen that up and slid that rod that is here in there. Now I didn't tighten it down. It's still movable because I want to be able to keep it adjustable. But that puts that half, the back half of the fuselage together. So now we're going to take our model and we're going to turn it over. Okay, and we're going to start paying our attention now to the rudder or to the elevator, okay, or a vertical stabilizer. Now, in your kit, you're going to have 2 of these longer looking screws. They're 16mm. Okay, they look like that. Okay, if you see, you've got 2 holes there. Okay, I'm going to slide this in there, your elevator half in there, just like that. And I'm going to drive both them screws home with a 2mm hex drive. I put the one in, but I want to show you how I'm going to put the second one in. Important, keep your hand underneath it to support it. And this is an important point. Anytime you're putting these models together, the screws will usually bottom out. You'll feel them bottom out, and then once they bottom out, just a little bit of pressure with the top of your fingers, the top of the tool, just enough. And if you look, that plastic is starting to kind of pucker around like that, then don't go any further than that. Once you start seeing that little bit of indentation, the back piece, leave it alone. Don't go any tighter than that. Alrighty. And that is on there now. Now we're going to turn our attention to the main gear. Okay. You're going to take this piece here, okay, and your landing gear. All right, now if you notice, you see that arch shape? That arch shape there? Okay. See the arch shape? That shape right there? That's how that's going to fit together. Okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this landing gear and I'm going to set it down in here. Okay. You're going to need 4 screws for this. 2 of these longer screws and 2 of the shorter screws. Okay. Take your joiner piece or backing piece and you're going to lay that in there right on top where those screws line up. You'll be able to see it. Alright, then you're going to start driving these screws in. Alrighty, when you're all done, the 2 shorter screws go to the front and the 2 longer screws went to the back. You now have basically your completed fuselage. Now we can turn our attention to the wing. Alrighty. You're going to put this is where I'd have like a blanket or something down here. I'm not going to in this situation, but because you're not going to be able to put the plane stand. Lay your wing out like this. Okay. Take your wing spar. It's going to go through here like this. It has a stopping point. Take your other wing spar, or the other wing, I'm sorry, and connect the 2. Okay. See how those pieces of those puzzles should just fit together like that? Make sure your wires are free. Okay. Now, you're going to have 2 of these. I think these are the short screws. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's the smaller 10mm screws. Take your 2mm hex drive and you're going to drive them in both of those holes there. And this will join the 2 wing pieces together. Notice how I got my finger underneath there? That's a good sound, actually. That's the sound of a tight-fitting, well-designed model. All right, that wing is now together. Okay, you see the top side. All right, moving on. Alrighty, well at this point we basically have an almost completed model. We have the main fuselage that is sitting on its landing gear, and we have the wing right, it's down here. Okay, so now we need to start joining these things together, but there's going to be electrical connections that's going to go between the wing and the fuselage that we're going to need to hook up. But before we do that, since the fuselage, can't talk. The receiver is going to be going in this section here. It's important for us to go ahead and get the model powered up and bound up to our receiver or the radio that we're using. I'm using a Spectrum IX14SE, and I'm going to show you how to set up a basic model to get to prepare this model to start talking to this radio. Alrighty? And how to set the reflex up, how to join everything up, and how to get everything talking to each other. So we're going to move our fuselage over there, and let's change our perspective. Alrighty, on your transmitter radio, get to whatever section where you can add a new model. We're going to add a new model, and we're going to go by default. Okay, pick airplane, create a new aggro model. Yes. Alright, change how that looks. Then I'm going to go down here to where that's all my models, where I see aggro. Alright, now the first thing I want to do is I want to name my airplane. Okay. Well, maybe I get out of the FMS, except can't use my fingers right now. MS Ranger. I'm going to just put GR for green. Ranger green. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Ranger green, and well, let's leave it at Ranger green. It's the only green Ranger other than the big one that I've got. Alright. Now it knows what we're going to call it. Alright. Now we're going to actually get in there. Okay. Get in the utilities. And now this turned on, so now we're live, ready to talk to a model. But we don't know anything about this model yet, so we got to figure out what kind of model it is. Alright. Now, what kind of aircraft type? That means what type of wing it is. Well, it's a regular wing. Regular wing, normal wing. Okay, has a regular tail. You saw a tail over there, regular tail. So we're going to go back. Okay, now, in this particular model, in the Ranger, all right, we're using a 6-channel receiver. You need to get to where you can assign your channels. Okay, in this 6-channel receiver, there are 6 ports. Don't count this one. The one on the left is like a shadow channel. This is for power and for binding. But you've got channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Channel 1 is throttle. Channel 2 is aileron. Channel 3 is elevator. Channel 4 is rudder. And then channel 5 would be landing gear, if you had landing gear or retracts. And then channel 6 would be your flap. Okay, well, we don't have flaps and we don't have landing gear. However, we have what we call an S-bus function, and that's what controls the gyro system, the 3 levels of the gyro. So understand, you've got these 2 auxiliary channels that you can use, auxiliary 1 and auxiliary 2, or in this case it'd be aux 5 and 6 because you got 6 channels. So what I want to do, I know that reflex is going to be a 3-position type control, so I'm going to need to assign it to a 3-position switch. Well, I'm going to use my channel 6, or channel 5, sorry, where it normally would be for gear, okay, and I want it to be a 3-position switch. Well, I like using B for that, which is right here on my transmitter, channel B. Okay, now that I just switched it, now that I hit that switch, it automatically selected B for me. Or I could just go through the menu and find it, but I want B. I want switch B because I know that that is a 3-position switch. Okay, so at this point, we know that the Ranger profile is set up to receive communication from the radio in the plane. Okay. They need to start talking to each other. All right, but before we do that, we got to get everything installed. Okay, see, looky here. Remember we just talked about all the numbers on that receiver. All right, first channel, channel 1, is going to be my throttle. Okay, well, how do you hook this up? Well, channel 1, that's throttle. You see that yellow part, that yellow wire there? The signal wire always goes towards the top of the receiver. So channel 1 or channel 1 is going to be throttle. I'll plug in there just like that. Now channel 2, what did that guy say? Aileron. The aileron's channel 2. There's channel. See them signal wires? The yellow wires, or whatever the lightest color wire is your signal wire. Channel 3 is going to be elevator. Okay. Channel 4 is going to be rudder. And remember he said about channel 5, which normally would be retracts or gear. See how it says S-bus? This usually refers to a controllable device. Well, in this case, it's that reflex. Okay. So we're going to put that in channel 5. So when you're all done, that's how that should look. All them signal wires should be towards the top. Well, that's great and dandy. You can't just let that thing just hang out like that. Well, I've got two-sided Velcro here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a spot inside the plane, preferably away from everything, like away from wing spars and away from electronics, the best I can do. And I'm going to mount my receiver on that Velcro. Okay. See where I've got that now? Right there. All right. Now look right here what we've got right here. We got these funny looking things. Okay. I'm going to dig the other one out. These, as you guessed it, are hanging out long, right? These are what's going to communicate to our wing. But for right now, we got to get this part of the plane ready to go. So we grab our battery that we have charged that has the XT60 connector. Remember I showed you this XT60 a while ago when we were unboxing it? Even though it's a different color, it'll fit in there just fine. Undo your Velcro. It's going to secure that battery down. Okay. We got to secure that battery. For right now, we're not worried about so much about getting the battery position perfect, just to get in there and lock it down. Pull the existing Velcro up. Me personally, I like the prickly, hard Velcro to be in the plane, and I like the soft Velcro on the battery. Okay, so I'm going to just put that down there like that. Actually, I'll put it like this. Lay that down in there. Okay, lay that battery down in there. Fits in there just perfect. There's no wiggle room at all. Okay. Put the Velcro on it. That battery's not going anywhere. Okay. All right. Now, here's that XT60. Okay. Here's the battery. Keep your... The prop is on. You know what? Let's pause right there. We're going to remove this prop, and I'll show you how you're going to do that. You're going to pop this off, and we're going to remove this prop before we... You pull this off. This just squeezes and comes off. Take this nut off. Be right back. You're going to take your prop off, and you need to do this because you're in the shop. Undo this. Pull that screw off of there. Don't lose this. This is what holds your prop on. Pull that aside. Set that down. Pull this backing plate off for now. All right. Just leave your prop. At least leave it sitting there. Okay. For right now. Now we know that your radio's ready to start talking. We got to get the fuse, or the main part of the plane, ready to start talking. And we've taken the prop off for safety. Okay. Plug it in. Okay. Look how, see that reflex, that flashing in there? We know we got power. Now I'm going to press the top of the receiver. See how it's flashing? That means, see how the receiver's flashing? That means it's ready to start talking. So I'm going to hold my bind button down on my transmitter.
Binding. Bind complete. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry.
Okay, hear that? That was the ESC, or think of it as the carburetor for the plane, armed itself. So that means it's ready to go.
Timer stop.
See, that's moving. Had that prop been on, I could have cut myself. So, what does that mean? First safety thing we need to do electronically, because we got this prop off, and we could have already done this. Go to model adjust. Okay, let's set ourselves a throttle cut. So in other words, electronically, you want to be able to turn your motor on and off. Well, I'm going to make this selectable. I like using this H back here. Okay, it collected H. So if the switch is down,
Timer stop.
it works. Prop is up, or the switch is up,
Timer stop.
doesn't work at all. Okay, so now we're safe, and we know, and look at that. My rudder, my front nose is working. If I turn my prop on,
timer stop.
I know that the throttle would work if the prop was on. Okay, so let's set this transmitter to the side. The model's perfectly safe. Okay, and let me show you something. See, looky there. Right there is your elevator servo. Okay. Okay, something's not hooked up. Rudder servo. All right, I'm back. Guess what I didn't do? And I'm glad I made this mistake now. Okay, and I'm showing you how even fat guy makes mistakes. I didn't even think about the fact, how am I going to get signal to that elevator? Well, look what's up in there. Them wires. I got to fish them wires out, and that's what's going to control the elevator. So now I got to put all this back together. And see, that was a simple rookie mistake, but good thing I made it, right? That way, good thing I made it now. So let me put this model back together. We'll be right back. Alrighty, now that I've fixed my boo-boo, my mistake, I'm thinking, how come my elevator's not working? All right, well, let me show you something we're going to do now. Now, I just pulled that elevator signal wire through there. See it right there? Okay, that's what's making that back elevator move. Okay, well, if you look in your Reflex version 3, if you look closely, you can see where it says aileron. There's a space right there. Okay, that space, that's where this is going to plug in at. So let me show you once I get it all done. Okay, it's going to match the same polarity as the other ones around it. Okay. So in other words, the signal, the yellow wire, and see now how that's hooked in there now? Okay, and then now watch this servo. Okay, that means I now have communication. So let's get our tail feathers, or our rudder and elevator, let's get them hooked up. Okay, remember how I didn't hook up that that wire that was going through that, where that black 1.5 millimeter, I said just don't hook it down? That's that wire here. Okay, what we want to do, we want to make sure we're going to hook that up now. Okay, get you back a little bit. All right, I'm going to put the instructions. Let's see what the instructions say where to put it. Where to hook it up at. You can hook it up wherever you wish. If you hook it further out, you're going to have less movement. If you hook it up further in, you're going to have more movement. So I'm going to split the difference, and I'm going to hook it up in the middle. This fuel tubing here that's on here is just a safety thing. Slide that off. Take this little peg here, and I'm going to put it in that middle hole, making sure this is even, right where it needs to be. I'm going to put it in that middle hole, where it looks just like that. See? Okay. And I'm going to anchor that down. Pops into place. Then slide that fuel tubing back over, that kind of holds it together. Okay. And then, if you looky there, keep your eye on that right there. Okay, on that servo arm. See how it's moving? That shaft is sliding on it, not moving with it. That's because it's not anchored down. Now that I've let go, it's gone back to neutral. I'm going to hold. I'm going to physically hold, because this is hooked up down here. I'm going to physically hold that in place, and then I'm going to take this 1.5, and then on that nut there, okay, right there, that black round nut, that grub screw, I'm going to tighten that up. Holding it back here to keep it straight and tighten that up really good. And I can feel it back here. So now look at that, look at it now. Okay. See, now that rod moves with it, and look at my rudder. Okay. All right, now we're going to do the same thing with the elevator. However, in this situation, we don't have that kind of rod. All adjustments have to be made here. Well, we know that that servo is centered now because we've already applied power to it. So this is where you'd want to take get your plane stand up. You got your battery in there, okay? And what you're wanting to do, turn it sideways like this, okay? And then what I want to do is I want these two pieces, see how this moves, it separates from itself? I want this to be perfectly straight or linear here. Then I'm going to take my push rod. This is a Z-bend. I'm going to put it in the furthest hole out to give me the most elevator throw. Pull that fuel tubing down. Okay. Alrighty, now that I've got that through there, swing that around. Remember, I want to keep this part straight, right? Okay. So this is your clevis. This is the part that hooks to the control surface. And you may have to screw this in or out in order to get this to hook up to where this part stays, the whole thing stays linear straight. Well, if you look at them holes and where it's at and where the peg is, I'm going to have to make this go in. So remember, it's going to have to go inwards to make it shorter. And that lines up pretty good with them holes now. I'm going to go for that inside. One more time. Remember, right to tight, left to loosen. Okay. And that's hooked up now, and that's in that middle hole. And I'm going to slide that fuel tubing back down there. Okay? See, that's straight, and then look at my elevator now. Alrighty. So, now, we got our rudder working, got our elevator working, and our steering rudder already works. So now, let's turn our attention to these wings. Alright. Remember we had these funny looking things here? Alright. Got this one piece wing. Okay. Now, the way it's going to, with these Rangers, what I like to do, take the wing and set it like this. Okay? Because when it's installed, it's going to sit on there like that. So I'm going to take these wings, and I'm going to take one of these locking wires, and I'm going to hook them up light to light, dark to dark. So the yellow is going to line up with the yellow, and these just hook in. They got these little locking mechanisms, these little teeth. Okay, just like that. Yellow to yellow. Let's get you in there closer. Okay, it's going to look like that. And grab the other one. Okay, this is what controls our ailerons, our wings. I'm going to hook these in like that. See, yellow to yellow, light to light, dark to dark. That's always going to be your polarity. Okay, set you back. Okay, I'm going to let those wires kind of fish down in that cavern. Let my wing struts swing out, okay, and let them just kind of fall. Now this is a tongue and groove wing. These two protrusions are going to fit in the front here, and then you're going to have some screws toward the back. So you'll see how this goes in here, just like that, and that's going to set down there on there. And then in your kit, which I can't figure out what I did with them, in your kit you're going to have these funny looking screws here, these plastic screws. These are twist lock screws. Okay, they go in just like a key, and then they turn. Just like a key, then they turn. Okay, and that wing is on there, but you're not quite done, because you see that section there? See this section here? Draw this in. You might have to push the wing up a little bit, fit that in there, and then lock it back. Okay? Come over here to the other side, turn your model over. Okay? See that there? That there? Push your wing up just a touch, let it fit in, lock it back towards the back, and that locks it in position. Alright, now I'm going to show you a real quick and easy way to make sure your prop is balanced. Okay, but you can't have any air on you. You got to have you got to be perfectly still air, because you don't want anything to influence your test. Alright, what I like to do is take an immovable rod and put that on there just like that. Okay, and what I'm looking for is, as I move that propeller, is no matter what, it holds its position. If it kept favoring one blade or the other, then I would take a sanding block, and on the inside of the propeller I would sand material off until it remained perfectly straight. And now I know that this prop is perfectly balanced. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the prop on here. I don't suggest doing it in the shop, but this is, well, you know what, we'll reassemble it in just a minute. I want to show you something first. Okay, let's get you repositioned. Okay, and we're going to talk about what this plane, the feature of the plane now. All right, remember I talked about putting that that 3-position switch and everything? Well, that was the reflex. That's what controls that S bus. Okay, that's what controls that. If I put it in the furthest down position, look at that aileron. See how it holds its position? See how it holds its position? Look at that elevator. See how it's holding its position up? Okay. Holds it down. Okay. See how that rudder's moving? Those positions would self-right the plane. Now, if I put it in the middle position, nothing's moving. And then if I pull the switch towards me, hear that? But you say, well, they're moving, but they're going back to where they were. That's the wind mitigation. That's the mode that I normally will fly a plane in. That just helps a light little plane do well in wind. Now, that is called optimized mode. Okay? The middle position, I believe, is called direct mode or no gyro. And then the farthest away position is self-leveling or stability mode. And that's what you're going to take off in. You're going to start off in stability mode, learn how to fly, and then get to where you don't have to have the stability, and then you either fly with no gyro or you fly with the optimized mode on. Okay, now, and you say, okay, well, that's fine and dandy. Now that we've got communication, we know everything's hooked up right and everything's working. Okay, everything's working. And you got to make sure our control surfaces are all going right. And right aileron, left aileron. Okay, so that actually is wrong. That aileron is wrong. Well, that's good, because that way I can show you. Because if I give right aileron stick, I want that aileron to go up. And it doesn't. It goes down. That would push Because if I go right aileron stick, I want the plane to go that way. But with the way it is, the plane's going to go that way. It's going to go that way. And I don't want that. So let's go to servo setup. Okay. And we're going to see where it says aileron. We're going to just reverse it. Now look at that aileron. Right aileron is correct. And then up, my elevator. Look at my elevator. It's wrong. Okay, my elevator's wrong. If I pull back on the elevator, I want it to come up, not point down. So, I'm going to do the same procedure. Reverse it. Now, that's up elevator. The rudder's correct, though. The rudder is the only thing that is correct. But the gyro earlier knew. So if I go back to stability mode, the gyro already knew which way was the correct way to make them control surfaces work. So I'm back to stability. And looky there. The aileron's doing right. The aileron's doing right. Elevator's holding that up position. Okay. So that's all working right. This plane is actually ready to fly at this point, but there's something else we still have to talk about. Still got to talk about CG. I've got the battery in there. CG is center of gravity. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to mark your CG and how to check for your CG. All right, let's find out what the CG is on this plane. Look at the instructions. It should tell me. Somewhere in here, there should be a diagram telling me where a CG is. Very forgiving on a plane like this. Well, I'm sure it's here somewhere. We'll pause while I find it. All righty. CG, if you look on page 10 of your manual, CG is 50 to 60 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing. All right? The leading edge is this part right here. You'll say, well, that's fine and dandy. How are you going to remember that at the field? All right. Turn your model over. Get it out of that self-leveling mode. Okay? Turn your model over. And this is where a plane stand would be good. And we're going to measure and mark our CG. I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to need a caliper or a ruler, whichever you want to use, and a marking. Now, this is how I like doing it. This is how I like to do it. I'll take a caliper or a ruler you could do, and I'm going to mark out the 60 first. I'm going to set it on 60. And then I'm going to right here at the front of the plane, right here by the strut, and I'm going to just let that make a little dent. Now I'm going to take my Sharpie, and I'm going to put a spot there, and I'm going to put 60. This is the underside of the wing. Okay, then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Make a spot, a little dent, and I'm going to write on there 60. All right, now I'm going to take my caliper, move it down to 50. Get lined up with that first hole, make another little spot, and then I'm going to put 50. Repeat the same process over here. Spot, 50. So, that tells me, now understand I don't have the prop on, so that does add some weight, but that tells me that if I got my battery right, in the right position, and I put my fingers between that 50 and that 60 there with the battery, then that plane should be nice and level, and it's just kind of sort of barely favoring tail heavy, but I don't have the prop on. Okay, so we're going to take this, make sure my throttle cut is on. Make sure you drop everything at least once. Okay, I'm going to put this, I don't suggest doing this in the shop. This is just for demonstration purposes. Okay. Put that back plate on. You see how that's curved? See how that's curved? This prop is going to rest on that curve. This is keyed. Goes on there one way. Okay. Put your prop on there. It's going to curve. It's going to sit in that curve. Put your nut, your washer on there. Okay. I'm going to hold my prop as I tighten this down. It was loose anyway, so it needed to be tightened. Okay, and see how that inside of that prop lined up with that curve? That's on there. I'm going to pop my spinner back in place. That spinner comes off pretty easy. Only because it's just plastic. You know what I'm going to do? You probably would be okay, but what I'm going to do for me, so I'm going to put just a dab of glue on the inside lining of this, but got to put kind of equal amounts on either side, just to make sure that spinner doesn't come off. It's kind of loose. Okay. Just a little bit of medium CA is all that is. Just a little bit of kicker. That's just to make the glue setup. You don't have to do that. It's optional. But that's just something I do. All right. Now, where's my battery hatch? All right, there's my battery hatch over here. Okay. We're going to slide that in there like that. Anchor that down. And now I'm going to put my fingers back between that 50 and that 60. And look at that. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now, we got basic communication. We got basic, everything working right. We got the gyro working correctly. Now let's dive into the world of rates. Okay? Our flying rates. And what that is, flying rates in Expo. And what that is how far these control surfaces are going to be controlled and moved from your stick input. Okay, so what we're going to do, right now, everything is at 100% on the movement. Okay, everything's at 100% by default. Okay, all right, so what I want to do, move that forward a little bit where you can see everything. All right, this is what 100% movement looks like on ailerons. Elevator and rudder. All right. So I want rates. Okay. So what you do, and whatever your radio system is, you're going to go to your function list, rates in Expo. Okay. We're going to set this on to where you can see us a little bit better. Just kind of remember how I had those rates, how you looked at them. All right, I want my rates controlled on a switch. So I'm going to hit switch and I'm going to say, what switch do I want? Well, I made it selectable. I'm going to go up here and move my G switch. And it automatically found the G switch. I put it in the furthest down position, furthest away from me. That's going to be my low rate. Okay, and I'm going to set my low rates down to 70%, 70% on aileron. Okay. Now, and my Expo, which I'll explain to Expo in just a minute, I'm going to put that at 30. Okay, click OK. There's my low rate. I'm going to pull that switch to it's a 3-position switch. I'm going to pull it up to the middle position, and I want that to now go to 85, kind of a midway point between 70 and 100. So we're going to go to 85. Click OK, and we're going to go 30% Expo. We'll be doing 30% Expo on everything. Just so you're aware, not 77%. Okay, and then I'm going to pull that 3-position switch all the way up. It's already at 100, and I'm going to all I got to do now is put the Expo at 30. Okay, so when I move the switches, okay, that's the highest, mid rate, low rate, 70. 85 and 30. So now I'm going to do the same thing with elevator. Hit switch, pick my G, put it in the lowest position, change all that to 70. Okay, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get all done. After all said and done, that's what low, medium, and high, looks like on rudder. Elevator, high, medium, low. And then aileron, low, medium, high. I just stayed with position, and that's how that looks. All right, you say, well, that's fine and dandy, but how's that look? What's that look like on the plane? All right, well, let me show you. On the plane, here is all them low rates. The 70 over the 30. Okay, here's the medium rate, mid rate. It's a little bit more. And then here's the high rate, which is the 100%. A whole lot more. Alrighty, and that's the flying rates. Now the difference is, okay, now we're going to explain what expo is. Alrighty, we've got the plane basically all set up. We have positive communication. My throttle cut is on, so my prop's not going to work. Okay. Now let's talk about expo. We talked about the different rates. We're in our high rates. Everything's moving. All right. Expo refers to when I start giving stick input. What that refers to is how quickly it allows electronically for that signal to engage. If I have a lot of expo, the control surface is not going to move as quickly until I get to the furthest point out on the arc, okay? On the arc of the movement of the stick, okay? On all control surfaces, okay? Think of expo as like dragging your foot in sand, okay? If this is the arc of the movement of the control surface, this is also how your leg moves, okay? Well, if I have 30% expo, think of that's the section that's in the sand. So I'm dragging through the sand, it's a little bit stiffer, or not quite as quick. It's going to drag through the sand, but as soon as it breaks the sand, now it moves quicker. So the more expo I have, the more that leg is going to drag in the sand before it's set free. You say, well, that's fine and dandy. What's that a matter when flying? If I have no expo, as soon as I hit, the movement's going to be very quick. So you can imagine when you're flying, if that aileron or elevator or rudder moves super fast, and you're unsure with your fingers and everything because you're a new pilot, well, if those move really, really quick, well, then that's going to translate to a very twitchy, and it's going to seem uncontrolled plane. But no, it's just following what you tell it to do. The expo softens that a little bit. It softens that. It helps you feel more what's going on with your stick input versus actually in the plane. So think of expo, you're dragging your feet through the sand. It softens that movement a little bit to where you're a little more sure. Okay, it makes it less twitchy. Now, as you get more advanced and better, and you're more adept at hand-eye coordination with your sticks and that feel for the plane, you may find yourself not needing as much expo or not wanting as much expo, or you may like the expo and leave it. That's where expo is a very personal thing. It's how you feel and how the sticks feel to you in the hand. Typically, with a trainer like this, I use 30% expo all the time. I don't worry about it. I've gotten to where that's what feels right for me. If I'd started with no expo, then it may have taken me a lot longer, but expo is just a great thing. The more expo, but it helps you make it not quite so twitchy, if that makes any sense to you. All right, well, that's that. Okay, we've talked about CG, and then battery placement is wherever you get the CG to be right. Okay. I've showed you how to put the plane together. I've showed you how to get your control surfaces all nice and linear. You move your clevis in or out, and the wing control rods were already hooked up for you, so you don't have to worry about that. Something you want to do, though, is make sure that everything is nice and secure. There's no play in everything, and that everything looks nice and linear. And this plane is actually ready now to take out to the field and maiden. All right. Now, your transmitter, I have the ability to do custom callouts. When I hit my high rate, low rate, mid rate, my radio will talk to me. High rate, mid rate. When I turn my throttle on, it'll say throttle on, throttle off. Your transmitter may not do that. It may just beep. So I'm going to go ahead with mine and do my custom callouts, but that's just me. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set a timer. Typically, for the plane like this, with a 1800 or a 2200 or even a 1300, I would have set your timer for 5 minutes. But let me show you. We talked about throttle cut. Let me show you how to set a timer. You're going to go however way your transmitter does it, but this is where I do it on this one. Hit that. Okay. And it's already set for 5 minutes. We're going to make it 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay. Hit OK. Now, I know that if I start this particular throttle,
timer stop.
I hate
timer
that.
Stop.
It keeps saying timer stop, timer. I want to show you how to turn that off. This is just for Spectrum guys, though. Go here. Go back to your timer. This is extra. Timer alerts. This is just for Spectrum people. Timer start. Turn that crap off. Timer stop. Turn that crap off. Now it just wants the timer reset when the timer goes out. All right, that's extra. That's nothing to do with the plane. That's just for me. But now I got a timer for 5.5 minutes. And then when I hit that 5.5 minutes, it's going to, right before, for the first 10 seconds, it's going to start beeping. Hey, 10 seconds to land. And then it's going to say timer expired. So I got to land the plane. Something I also wanted to mention before we wrap this up, that Reflex version 3, in your information, you have a pamphlet on your Reflex version 3. Now, I'm filming on the phone, so I can't show you. But you'll just scan this. You'll get an app that you can put on your phone, and then all those control surfaces and everything, you can go in there and customize all that the way you like it on the app. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's lots of videos on it. But for me personally, I like the way they already have this model pre-tuned. But let's say you decide you don't want that gyro in there anymore. You don't want that reflex. You don't even need it. You want to pull it out and just go directly from your receiver thing. You can take that reflex out, okay, and put it in another plane, and then use that same program to tune it for whatever plane you put it in. That's the beauty of the Reflex version 3. Now, you couldn't do that with the Reflex version 2, but you can now do that with the Reflex version 3. So you can take that, and you can buy that Reflex by itself and buy it into a totally different plane that has nothing to do with FMS. And then using that app, you can customize it and use it in that plane. There you go. I just wanted to throw that in there, that there's a lot to that Reflex version 3. But I personally, when I get an FMS plane that has the Reflex version 3 already in it, it's already been tuned for that plane. And rarely can you tune it better than what the engineers have already done it. So there you go. Just want to put that in there as part of this video. God bless y'all. All right. Well, that's all we got to this. Let's take it out in the field and let's fly this bad boy. And welcome to the world of aviation and FMS. Thank you for sending this out for demo. I'm hoping I'm doing it justice, but this is how Fat Guy does it, and that's what y'all wanted. So God bless y'all. Jesus is Lord. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends in the Ranger 1220s Beginner Series. Bye-bye. Well, hey, folks. All right. You got your Ranger all put together. Now you're out here at the field and you're ready to give it a maiden. You've already had another pilot and experienced pilot trim the plane for you. So now you're ready to fly it for the first time. You're going to start off in your stability mode or self-leveling. And just so you know, there's an 1800 3S in there, SMC pack. Now, like I say, we come to the field, join a club, and you would have one of the members or the more experienced member trim your plane for you, especially if you're new kind of pilot. And you're going to put your battery in. You're going to turn on your transmitter first, install your battery, and check your control surfaces. Right, left, up, down, right, left. All right, you're in beginner mode.
Motor hot and ready. Be careful.
You've disabled your throttle cut. And just so y'all are aware, this is the true maiden on this also. I have not flown this little Ranger yet. All right. All right. Timer set for 5.5 minutes. We're in our high rates, but we're in the beginner stability mode. It's kind of windy today. In stability mode, you cannot turn the airplane upside down. And it's a good mode for you to learn your pattern.
Time remaining 5 minutes.
A little windy, so you're having to fight the wind, but stability mode is keeping the plane level and at a safe altitude. All right, start decreasing our throttle. Boy, is it windy. As a beginner, I would not recommend coming out here when it's so windy, but we're already in the air.
Time remaining 4 minutes.
All right. You're gonna put the plane into the wind. You're gonna land the plane into the wind. You have the most control. And that's a Harrier landing. Hey, Gabriel, show them the flags here, directly across the runway. All right, let's take off one more time in beginner mode. All right, this is stability mode, self-leveling. All right, work a little bit of rudder, keep your wings level. Learning to use your elevator and your rudder and your ailerons in concert with each other to turn your airplane. Try to keep your plane as level as possible as you turn it. And the self-leveling gyro, the Reflex version 3, really helps with that. Perfect plane for beginner if you've got a nice smooth surface to land on.
3 minutes.
Okay. Start decreasing your throttle again. Learning how that plane feels in your hands, how the sticks feel, how the plane reacts to your input. Remember, small corrections. Small corrections. Don't be in a big hurry. Keep your wings as level as possible. Turn. Trying to coordinate all three control surfaces, your elevator, your rudder, and your ailerons. And actually, and one of your main controls is not a control surface at all, it's your throttle. That actually dictates everything your plane is going to do, is how much throttle you input. The faster you go, the more throttle, the more distinct your movements are going to be. All right. Of course, you got to maintain enough speed to maintain lift too, so you can't just go to no speed. You just got to find that happy balance. Whoa. Help me, help me. There we go. All right, we're going to take it out of self-leveling now. We're going to do just the absolute opposite and have no gyro whatsoever, not even wind mitigation. I'm going to turn against the wind So the wind is at my butt right now. So having its way, trying to taxi. So now I'm going to show you how this plane reacts without any kind of gyro. This light little foam plane, how it reacts with no and wind, with nothing helping it along. All right, here we go. There. Just to show you the gyro is not on. This is the first time I've ever flown this little guy. I've flown many of these little Rangers, but it's the first time flying this Ranger. All right. Now we're gonna land it, no gyro. It is gotten awfully windy.
1 minute.
Well, we'll have to go around. All right, now
Stability mode.
we'll go to the
Optimized
optimized mode, or just plain wind mitigation. It still can go upside down and get in weird positions, but the wind will help with keeping the plane a little, the gyro will help with keeping the plane a little more locked in, even with this crazy wind.
30 seconds.
Just to show you that the plane, see, can't go upside down with stability mode if stability mode was on. But as you can see,
20 seconds.
the plane is a little more locked in, flying a little bit better even with the crazy wind. Whoa, perfect example
Prop secured.
of why this is a great beginner plane. If you saw, okay, my throttle cut is on. If you saw how that dipped down like that, well, that's that spring, and that's great for a beginner. This is a great beginning plane if you have a smooth surface or very, very short, almost putting green like surface to land on, okay? If you try to land in a regular grass field, okay, you have a very good chance of nosing over, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what happens with this plane and why the PA-18 with the large Tundra tires is a better choice if you have a heavy grass field. But I'm going to show you that you can hand launch this
Motor
thing.
hot and ready.
Okay.
Careful.
Okay.
10.
All right, and I'm going to land it in the grass.
Timer expired.
And you're not going to have as nice a lane. Watch it land perfect though. See? If I had any more speed there, and I'm certainly not going to be able to taxi back.
Prop secured.
So, this is a great plane for very short grass, very short. This out here is not cut for a runway. This is just regular field grass, okay? Look where I'm holding this plane. Even though I know I got my throttle cut on, I got my hands behind this prop, okay? This kind of a plane with a tricycle gear, with these size wheels, is best for a hard surface landing or very short grass. If you have access to that, this is the perfect trainer for that. If you don't have access and you've got a field like this, then I highly recommend the PA-18 or the PA-17 is also a great choice. Anything with large Tundra tires in the front. Will be great for rough terrain. All right, well, hope you enjoyed the complete unbox, assembly, all the way to maiden video on the Ranger 1220. It's a perfect trainer, it really is. If you've got really, like I keep saying, really short grass, it's okay. But if you got heavy field grass like this, there are better choices that FMS puts out. All right, God bless y'all. Jesus is Lord, and don't forget, faith, family, and friends. And if you want this plane, there'll be a link with some money off your purchase in the description of the video. God bless y'all, and we'll see you next time. Gabriel, thank you.